Good afternoon. Welcome to the regular City Commission meeting for the City of Largo for Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We're going to start tonight's meeting with an invocation given by Reverend Kenny McNatt from Seminole Assembly of God, and then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we come to you tonight, we thank you so much for the grace and the mercy that you've shown us. Father, we thank you for the men and women who are gathered here tonight to give direction to our community. We ask your blessing on their life tonight. We thank you that we have the opportunity to invite your presence here, and so we do that now, because what we need more than anything else is you. We need your discernment in making decisions, your grace in living out those decisions, knowing that they will affect thousands of individuals in our community. So tonight I pray a special grace on the lives of each person that will be making those decisions, those who are going to be speaking. And we ask you, Lord, tonight that you would help us all to be slow to speak, slow to become angry, and quick to listen. Lord, we pray for our nation tonight. We pray for healing. We pray that you would help us to bridge the gap that's been caused by anger and hate. And Father, may we be your agents of bringing peace to troubled hearts. We ask that you would heal our land. And it's in your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend. The first item on the agenda is swearing in of newly elected city commissioners. So I'm going to put this back on and head down there. Our city attorney is joining us virtually, so you'll be hearing a voice and not seeing him in just a minute.
Okay. Sorry, I'm unable to join you in person this evening, but if you would raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and protect the Constitution of the United States and in the state of Florida against all enemies, domestic or foreign, and that I will bear true faith, loyalty, and allegiance to the same, that I'm entitled to hold office under the Constitution, that I'll faithfully perform all the duties of the office of and state your office in the city of Largo, upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations.
Mayor, I can take a picture.
No, we're good.
Or
It's
selfie. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on video. Smile with your eyes.
No pinning. No badge.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
Look at my family run. Look, they're like, we run.
They're all going to
Thank-
5A.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmett, and congratulations to my fellow commissioners. And thank you to the family members that are now scattering before we get down to business.
Could be worse, they could have filled out comment cards.
Our next item is a proclamation declaring November 2020 Native American Heritage Month.
Whereas during National Native American Heritage Month, we celebrate the rich tapestry of indigenous peoples, including those that identify as Native American, American Indian, First Nation, Native Alaskan, and other indigenous groups, and honor their sacrifices, which we recognize as inextricably woven into the history of this country. And whereas Native Americans are descendants of the original indigenous inhabitants of what is now the city of Largo, and nationally are represented by 573 federally recognized American Indian and Alaska Native nations, and whereas Native Americans have lived through experiences of tragedy, triumph, and perseverance that need to be shared with future generations, and whereas Native Americans have enriched our heritage and continue to add to all aspects of our society through their generosity of culture and the continued practice of teaching economic, environmental, and cultural sustainability, and whereas our country is blessed by the character and strength exemplified by the Native Americans who have answered the call of service in our armed forces in greater numbers per capita than any other group in the United States, and whereas during the month of November we honor our Native people in their ancestral homes, and recognize their continued contributions in strengthening the diversity of our society, now therefore I, Woody Brown, Mayor of the City of Largo, Florida, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2020 as National Native American Heritage Month in the City of Largo, in conjunction with the celebration of National Native American Heritage Month. Our Community Engagement Specialist, Eileen Carey, meant to be here tonight. She was unable to do so, but I know she's displayed the proclamation here at City Hall and at the library.
Thank you. Next, we'll have citizens' comment. If you'd like to speak about something that's on the agenda outside of the consent docket, please wait until that item comes up. Do we have any cards this evening?
I have no cards, no one on Zoom, and no one on email.
Thank you. Next is approval of the minutes, or I'm sorry, the agenda for tonight's meeting.
I'd like to pull agenda item number 7.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. I would like to point out, I meant to earlier, that there are all 7 of us here. We're spread out 6 feet apart, so Commissioner Fenger is down in the gallery and Commissioner Smith is over where the, in his own, like where the orchestra is usually. So next is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of November 3rd.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Could I hear the consent docket, please?
Item 5, appointment of vice mayor. Item 6, appointment of Eric Eifert and the reappointment of Danny Taylor as members of the planning board. Item 8, award of bid number 21-B-706, chlorine and equipment for aquatics to Triangle Pool Service for a 2-year period in the estimated amount of $111,000. Item 9, authorization to purchase a chipper from Vermeer Southeast Sales in the amount of $70,080, utilizing the Sourcewell Grounds Maintenance Contract number 062117-VRM. Item 10, authorization to purchase sanitary sewer manhole rain trays from Southwestern Packing and Seals Incorporated, doing business as Rain Stoppers, in the estimated amount of $30,300. Item 11, authorization to purchase a sole source 50% sulfuric acid feed system and the acid from Odyssey Manufacturing in the amount of $230,960.
Thank you. You heard the consent docket. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent docket without commission discussion and including staff background provided in the commission packets.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. I'd like to thank Commissioner Robinson for stepping up to be vice mayor and promised to make that job easy on you by being here all the time. And also would like to thank Mr. Eric Eifert and Danny Taylor for volunteering to serve on the planning board. That service is very important, and thank you very much. Item number 7.
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. Mark Myers.
Hey, Mark, so you don't have to go through the whole agenda. Summary, so I just had a couple questions for you. When we looked at the purchasing of this furniture, did we look at any local options for this?
No, we did not. We went to state contract. We went to Boz because they have provided good service to us. That's where our efforts went.
What about any type of like environmentally friendly options for as far as furniture?
The actual furniture that we're getting is metal. It's environmentally friendly. It's sustainable because if we have to move it around, take it down, we can do that. All the parts are interchangeable.
Fantastic. Couple more questions for you. What are we going to do with the old furniture? And is any of it usable, transferable to other areas?
Some of it's going to be repurposed. Some of the systems furniture will be actually going down to Public Works for some office space that we're going to try to rearrange. The stuff that we are not going to salvage because of condition will just be demoed with the building.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question I have, and this doesn't really have to do with the furniture, but more of the building itself. I know when we discussed originally the planning of how we were going to build this building, we had several discussions with the commission, and the intent of the commission at that time was to have this building solar ready. I found out that when it was built, because it's essentially done now, it is not solar ready. Because we had discussed the option of installing solar on the building. That was a very expensive option. So, I believe the intent was then to make the building solar ready. So whenever we were able to install it, it's a plug and play type situation instead of adding the infrastructure and everything else that has to go with that, with the installation of solar. Can you or maybe anybody have kind of discuss where where we kind of missed out on that opportunity and maybe some of the things that we're going to do to make sure? I'll be having this discussion later on a couple of agenda items regarding the new city hall, but I'd like to just, I don't know if you have those answers, and that's fine if you don't.
I do have some of them, but I'd be more than happy to put a bigger picture together for you and
That'd be
get
great.
that.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, I just want to, kind of have an idea, understanding of where we missed that step and what we're going to do to make sure we don't miss that step in the future.
Yes, sir.
All right? That's all I had.
Thank you. Any other questions on item number 7?
I move to approve authorization to purchase furnishings for the Environmental Services Operations Center from BOS Tampa or BOS Tampa in the estimated amount of $166,000 in accordance with state of Florida contract number 561-20000-19-ACS.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Next up is item number 12.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. The Clearwater Largo Road redevelopment plan provides for redevelopment incentives to residential projects that incorporate affordable housing into their development. The Affordable Housing Density Bonus Program grants additional density based on the percentage of affordable housing units set aside in a new residential project. This item is to request Commission approval of an affordable housing density bonus agreement with Grand Oaks Apartments LLC for the redevelopment of the residential property you see here on the map, currently known as Walter Moore Place, located at 1030 Clearwater Largo Road North. The project consists of 2.3 acres and has a land use designation of mixed use corridor that provides for a base residential density of 15 units per acre with the incentive program, the developer's requesting to utilize the density bonus up to an additional 25 units per acre. If approved, the project will consist of 88 units in total. The density bonus is based on the commitment by the developer to set aside 20% of those units, 17 units in total, for qualified households. The term of the agreement is for 30 years, and it will be recorded covenant that will run with the land and any subsequent owners obligated to comply with the agreement for 30 years. The Largo Housing Division will oversee reporting and auditing of the program to ensure compliance. A copy of the agreement is attached to your packet, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this?
I have none.
Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Gerard?
Hi. Hi, Rick. How are you? The developer of this project is the same developer of Largo Lofts. Is that correct?
The entity requesting approval is Grand Oaks Apartments LLC.
Right.
There is an association in terms of the authorized agent, as far as I know, that was involved in the project you mentioned.
Okay. I think it's a wonderful project. I think we need more affordable housing. I think it'd be a great boon to the Clearwater Largo Road corridor. Are they ready to go? I know we need a site plan within 60 days of approval. Are they ready to go and turn dirt and bring this out of the ground?
Right, so in terms of development, the developer submitted a preliminary site plan to our Development Review Committee on November 4th, and it was formally reviewed by the committee. They are demonstrating a preliminary site plan that shows they can meet the city's standards. We're providing them formal comments for them to make any revisions that would be necessary. They all seem to be technical in nature at this point in time. So with the agreement, then they can move forward with the final process, which includes a neighborhood information meeting, and then submittal of a final site plan so that they can receive a development order to move forward.
And they're all set and have the wherewithal to go ahead and bring this to fruition?
Yeah. So the site plan review process and the density bonus program would allow for the development of an 88-unit project with that 20% component. Development in any case, knowing 100% certainty of the wherewithal and the current economic situation that we find ourselves in, there's not per se a pro forma that comes along with this affordable housing density program. The agreement, though, as I mentioned, will run with the land. So whoever acquires the land, if someone else were to acquire it and develop it, would be subject to the agreement if they were to build an apartment complex at this density.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Robinson, Vice Mayor Robinson.
Thank you. So there's 17 units would be the amount of affordable or workforce housing on this property? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Or with this project, I should say.
Yes.
And just a question is the new apartments that are built across Clearwater Largo Road there, how many units are in that are workforce?
The Rosary Apartments, and I'm going by memory here, it's give or take a few, 226 units, I want to say.
That are workforce housing?
I'm sorry, in total.
Okay.
And I believe they had committed to 15%, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the information right here in front of me, but
No,
it's
that's fine.
15 or 20%.
Okay, perfect. And then the 30-year agreement, is that the standard length or is just, when we look at workforce housing, obviously we're going to need to continue to build more and more and more, and that 30 years is a long time from now, but, you know, we're going to get there sooner or later, so, like,
It's an industry standard, and I think it comes from the model set forth by the state housing incentive program, SHIP. And it's what we've used for the other two density bonus agreements that we've entered into, including the Rosary Apartments, the other one being Alta Bel Air further north on Clearwater Largo Road. You know, in the greater scope of affordable housing, that discussion is ongoing. The county's currently got an affordable housing strategy, and the city is somewhat of a partner to that in that dialogue. And so we are looking at other opportunities for ensuring long-term affordable housing. You know, in some circumstances, the discussions have revolved around, you know, land banking, land trusts that preserve it in perpetuity. But this program here for the Clearwater Largo Road redevelopment plan was not designed with that in mind.
that's fine. I just a question about that process, so thank you.
Thank you. I had a couple questions. At 2.3 acres and 88 units, how tall, how many stories is that likely going to be?
Well, I'll share with you our rendering. At this point, we're looking at the concept is that has been reviewed in the preliminary site plan, shows a 4-story building.
Okay. Thank you. And I concur with the statements as far as the necessity for workforce housing. I think this is a great project for the area. And I think it's going to, well, certainly it'll increase density over what's there now. I know you've heard me say this before, and I think that it's important to do two things. One is move towards allowing a density bonus for affordable housing and other activity centers like the Largo Mall Activity Center and our Tri-City Activity Center. And I was wondering where we are in that progression. And then secondly, allowing for density bonuses in Clearwater Largo Road District specifically because it's a CRA with other development things that might make, that we'd like to see in that area, much like we do in the West Bay Drive District. Like mixed use could get you a density. Some public facilities like a public parking garage could get you a density increase. So I know that that's a process that we're working on. I'd like to kind of get an update on where we are with that as well.
Absolutely. So at a staff level, we're beginning to look at a more comprehensive affordable housing strategy, looking beyond just Clearwater Largo Road and our activity centers, looking at what we're doing now and how we can do it better. I believe there's probably some tweaks, if you will, to current code that would allow for better opportunities. And specifically with the Largo Tri-City Special Area Plan, which today the County Commission had approved it. We'll be bringing the final adoption of the plan back to the Commission on December 15th, and staff is working on the standards to implement it, which that process will take us through to February before it gets to first and second reading before the Commission. We are incorporating a significant affordable housing incentive program in there. Again, more of a market-based approach with density bonuses, but we're also including green building. And we're seeing a lot of communities that are doing both affordable and green building all in the same project.
So potential density bonus if your building is green or more sustainable, solar ready, that type of stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
So we're looking at, LEED certification, National Green Build certification, and other incentives that would incorporate things such as preserving, and conserving land and other sustainable technologies.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Smith.
Rick, I appreciate your comments, what you said to Commissioner Gerard. I do have a little bit more. Mr. Tave, you're here. If I'd like to hear you talk a little bit about your this project, but also the financing that you already have or will have. How's that going, and what are we looking at? Next year, 2 years, kind of an idea, please.
Absolutely, Commissioner. I understand the reason for your concern. I would just say that first, with respect to this project, Equity is in the bank. Local credit union is agreed to do the construction financing. Applications in process. The appraisal is due next Monday. We're anticipating closing the loan for the new year and commencing construction subject to plan review, first quarter next year.
Okay. And,
Construction bids are already in.
okay.
So I'm anticipating, I've got the mailing for the neighborhood information meeting sitting on my desk waiting to go. I couldn't do it until after this meeting was done. It'll be postmarked tomorrow morning. We have a neighborhood information meeting scheduled for the 2nd. We'll submit for site approval on the 3rd of December, for a building permit plan review on the 23rd of December. And I'm intending to be, like I said, off and running,
Okay.
turning dirt by the end of March next year.
Okay. Rick, I'd like to keep an eye on this one, just a little bit on my radar, because I'm very fascinated with this one. If you could just keep me in the loop when they're doing the citizen outreach, or Mr. Tave, if you could, I'd like to just be kept in the loop a little bit.
Sure, absolutely.
of this.
And I would just also note that, recognize the need for affordable housing. And, you'll notice that this site is relatively small. It's a plain vanilla project, unlike a lot of the other new construction that's Class A++ with lots of bells and whistles. We're programming this one. There's the 17 units that are going to be, by covenant, restricted to affordable housing, but we're trying to keep the rents on all the rest of them as close to that level as possible. So obviously, we don't have the same commitment on those, but the objective is for this to be entirely affordable workforce housing.
Okay. I like that comment, so thank you very much, because I do think that's important, and like I said, it's something I'm very passionate about, and I really want to be kept in the loop. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carroll.
Yeah, I was just going to add, in support of what the mayor had to say, as important as affordable housing initiatives are to me and to this community, I think there also should be other ways to get at a density bonus with infrastructure improvements, transportation improvements, sustainability improvements. So I wholeheartedly support what the mayor had to say on that issue. And I am thrilled to see new projects built to current code with infrastructure improvements through a development order that will make us more sustainable in the event of any kind of, natural or man-made disaster. So I like this project. I'm all in favor of this project, but I just keep wanting to ring that bell that there should be other ways to get density bonus considerations. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Gerard.
Yeah, since you're there, Mr. Tate, thank you very much. It's been a while since I've seen you. Can you just give me a very quick breakdown on, are these 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, the square footage, just very, very quickly?
Sure. It's a mix of 1 and 2s. I believe it's 48 one bedrooms and 40 2 bedrooms. Square footage, the 1 bedrooms average around 750 square feet, and the 2 bedrooms a little over 900, 925. They're not extraordinarily large, but they'll be comfortable. They'll be finished with what you would expect as Class A finishes, granite countertops, Energy Star appliances, LED lighting. There will be a solar array on each building, 36 kilowatt solar array on top of each building. Where we're trying to save, there's not going to be a swimming pool. There's not going to be a business center, dog park. It will have a small resident lounge in the office building. But, those outside of the apartment amenities are going to be essentially non-existent, but that's where we can save the money to allow the rents to be towards the bottom end of the Class A scale.
Do you have any projection on what rents might be?
Targeting $1,200 a month for the unrestricted 1 bedrooms and $1,500 for the 2s, which is, if you look at what's happening across the street at the Rosary, that's basically where their apartment rents start and then go up from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any motion?
I move to approve the Affordable Housing Density Bonus Agreement with Grand Oaks Apartments, LLC.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, everybody have a good evening. Stay safe.
Thank you, you too. Next is item number 13.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, Commissioner Gerard. I'm Jerry Wolozinski, the Director of Engineering Services.
Nice to meet you.
The purpose of this item is to seek City Commission approval of change order number 1 to the wastewater reclamation facility biological treatment improvements project in the amount of $2,950,506.90 and an additional $250,000 to be added to the owner's allowance. The total cost of the change order is $3,200,506.90. The change order will also add 331 additional days to the contract. 137 of these days are associated with change order 1. The remaining 194 days are for previously agreed to unforeseen conditions and other work the city has requested henceforth through this process. The scope of the change order will include improvements to the facility's disinfection system, including modifications to the flow channels in each of the 2 disinfection tanks, the installation of mixers to better disperse the disinfection chemicals. And the goal of this is to basically help improve the disinfection process in the east and the west tanks, with the end result of being closer to permit compliance and obviously providing improved water quality to Feather Sound and Old Tampa Bay. The additional items that we'll be coming back to you for is the support contracts that go along with the oversight and management of this project. This is a state revolving loan fund project, and we have a consultant providing us SRF services that will be coming back to extend. We also have a resident project representative who oversees the construction process, and we also have a design criteria compliance consultant who also is part of this process. So in a future commission meeting, all 3 of those will be associated with this item. That's the summary of the project, and staff are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
None.
Any questions from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve change order 1 to the WWRF Biological Treatment Improvements Project with Kiewit Infrastructure South, adding $2,950,506.90 to the contract price, $250,000 to the owner's allowance, and 331 days to the contract time in accordance with RFP number 18-P-662.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Robinson, you didn't have a question on this, did you? No. Okay. I did have a question somewhat related to this, and since you're here, last week we had 6 inches of rain at least in most of Largo during the tropical storm. Did we have any sanitary sewer overflows in the system that we know of?
We had no sanitary sewer overflows in the collection system. We did have a contractor-related spill at the plant.
Okay. Thank you. That comes a long way from 7, 8, 10 years ago when if a summer rain, we were chasing down sanitary sewer overflows. So kudos to a job well done on that. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next is item number 14.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and welcome Commissioner Gerard.
My name is Ralph Stazlak, Assistant Director for Engineering Services. I'm pleased to introduce Ms. Barbara Sinclair with Creative Pinellas. She'll be providing commission with a little background on Creative Pinellas and the mural program. This item will present an opportunity to incorporate a mural into the city's West Bay Trailhead project. Staff will be available for questions after the presentation, and we will be seeking direction for this item from commission.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Barbara St. Clair, and I'm with Creative Pinellas. We are the county's local arts agency, and I am very excited to be talking to you today about this opportunity to partner with the City of Largo on our mural project. I want to tell you a little bit about Creative Pinellas. We are a 501c3 organization. We are located in the gallery in the Gulf Coast, former Gulf Coast Museum of Art at Pinewood Cultural Center. And our mission is to create opportunities and connections around art, foster art, nurture art, develop the arts as economically, because arts are about $1.9 billion. Creative industry is about $1.9 billion in income every year. That's from the Pinellas County Economic Development Team. Our key objectives are arts and culture destination. Our mission is to support and nurture arts I can see it much more close here. Thank you. If we could move on forward, I just want to go through really quickly the kinds of things we do. We offer grants. We have grants for professional artists and emerging artists. Next slide, please. We program the gallery, and we have fabulous exhibits, and I'm going to take a little detour right now and invite you to come to our Arts Annual. We can do social distancing. The art gallery is quite big, and it is an amazing show of about 30 Pinellas County artists. Next slide. We have conversation workshops and panels. Next slide. We have a journal. It's an online journal that is read by people throughout the world. If you continue forward, we have the Arts and Cultural Guide that has about every arts and cultural organization in Pinellas County. Please move forward. We have a lot of programs for accessibility because making arts available for all is really important to us. And one of the programs, we actually partner with Largo Parks and Recreation because we have a program that sends kids from Title I schools or kids who are eligible for school lunches or in the criminal justice system, sends them to day camp and for arts. And Largo has a fabulous arts day camp program. So we've been partnering with Largo Parks and Rec. We do public art, so we have a public art project that is actually moving around the county, and it will be in this area probably in about 9 months. We can continue. And then, of course, we have the mural program, which is really what our focus here today. Our first mural was at Boot Ranch, where the Pinellas Trail extension is going to be. And that's a 50-square-foot wall, and it represents transportation. Each of these characters is actually on some kind of bicycle or skateboard or as a runner, and we have had tremendous support and community enthusiasm for that proposal, for that program. So our topic for today, of course, is a project for the City of Largo, and that would be at the trailhead, the Pinellas Gateway Trailhead on West Bay. And we would be working with the city very, very closely and very carefully to make sure that we integrate very smoothly with the project that's already going on. I want to tell you a little bit about the artist, because we are proposing the artist Cecilia Luisa. We can move forward on the slides. She's Venezuelan American artist. She lives here in Pinellas County. She was trained at the University of La Plata in Buenos Aires, and she's well known for doing work around Florida and around actually the whole country. Some of the work you might see is the North Shore Park in St. Petersburg, downtown Clearwater, Jacksonville, Florida, and this project has some interesting elements that really reflect towards the Gateway project. She has I stuck this one in here because it's in Iowa, so she really does move throughout. And then the next slide is She has top of parking lot in Palm Beach, which I just think is hysterical and really fun. So she's a very fun artist, and you'll see as we're looking at the colors that she has a lot of affinity for the colors that Largo is already connected to. So this is, I thought, what you'd really want for the meat of the project, and forgive me for turning away, but I couldn't possibly go through those trying to read it from there. So we will manage all the legal and financial aspects of the project. So we'll take care of artist agreements with permits, insurance. We have a budget to pay for the artists, for their work, and for the materials. We will oversee the production, the wall prep, the mural painting. We will ensure it's completed to specs. It usually takes about 7 to 14 days to paint. Sometimes we bring scaffolding and lifts. If we do, we have budget for that. Sometimes if the area is busy, the artist may work at night, and then we would bring our generator. And they may work individually or with a team. They will use high-quality wall paint, either brushed on or sprayed. And generally, murals are planned to last about 3 to 5 years. Our project, the basic design is below. We had actually looked at this project for a different wall and realized it wasn't a good fit after all. Sometimes things that are problematic end up being a real opportunity and benefit because we think this location is fabulous for this project. And I actually am far more excited about bringing it to this project than even though I loved the project before. I think this is such a good fit. So we are excited about moving forward. We will work to make adjustments. This isn't set in stone. It's kind of the beginning, and it is, this artist does work in these kind of abstracts and geometrics and these colors, so it will be consistent with that, but we will work with the city and with the contractor to make sure it's a good fit. And we're excited about the opportunity. So if you had any questions for me, please let me know.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Any questions for staff or Ms. Sinclair?
Mayor, the only thing I would, and I know that you've addressed this in other locations, but that particular area, there's a lot of pedestrian traffic. There's kids that cross there to go to school and so forth. So when this is all said and done, we certainly don't want anything that distracts, the attention of drivers. Right. There's an eye clinic there on the corner where people get their pupils dilated and then get behind the wheel of the car. But that sort of thing, and I know you factor all that in, but just from a traffic safety perspective.
Thank you. We will work very closely with the experts who are working on that to make sure that we don't create any hazards.
Thank you.
I went out there and took a look at, and we're talking about the triangles of solid concrete kind of underneath the far end. So it's a little ways away from West Bay Drive, but still visible, and I think it'll really enhance the area. I think.
Oh, sure. I agree.
I was talking to somebody today who was talking about being on the trail and looking at the art on the trail and how just uplifting that was, especially as she was trying to get in her 20 miles. It really adds to the experience that people have.
Commissioner Hulk.
Yes, I just like to comment, the colors are beautiful, and I think it's going to really make a difference on that trailhead. But is it on both sides? Or is it just
North and south, both.
No.
It's on the east and west side.
Yeah, is it on the east and west side also, or is it just in?
We will be looking at that, and we will sort of see what the best choices are.
So there is an opportunity to paint on both sides of West Bay Drive, as well as the east side and the west side. So each approach has 3 sides. There's an opportunity based on creative pinellas working with artists to determine if we can do all the surfaces or just a portion of them based on their agreements.
Very good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gerard.
During the 3 to 5 year lifespan, what's the process for maintenance? Because paint chips or starts to fade. So how do you keep it up so it doesn't start to look tired?
Very good question. So paint fading, that's sort of just a given. A mural is a temporary project, and it will fade. And even the things that you might put on, people have tried sealers or whatever, and it just, especially in Florida in the sun, so it's just kind of a given. In terms of maintenance, let's say something, something fell off, big chip, a big noticeable chip, or somebody came and did some tagging or whatever, we would work with the artist to come out and repaint that area. So the idea is, that it has a lifespan of 3 to 5 years, and that it, just like any other painted surface, will change over those 3 to 5 years. But if there's something that's really an eyesore or really needs to be dealt with, we will work directly with the artist to fix that.
And my next question is, after 3 to 5 years, when everybody agrees that this has reached its life's end, is the same mural put up, or do we go through the process again to find?
You get to have fun with that one. You can, if you like the mural, you can have it repainted that way, or if you want to open it up and have a different artist and a different, image. Or sometimes people just paint over it with, and just turn it back into a kind of surface that it might have been if there was never a mural. Usually, people really like to have something. Once they see a mural there, they want something. And the thing about murals, too, for the future, is that they're a really cost-effective way of bringing art to the public. Because it's paint and the artist's time.
I love the art that's already up on the trail. I mean, it really is very uplifting to come across something with some, bright colors. And although I didn't believe the 20 miles, not for a second.
It wasn't me.
But so what happened up at Keystone and Eastlake?
Wow. Okay, so
If it's that uncomfortable.
They couldn't see it. They couldn't imagine it in their community. And other murals that we've done, people really embraced. We were painting a mural on Alderman and Belcher, and the community actually asked us to do it. And I totally think it's perfect because it's one of the least appealing street corners that you could ever find. Duke Energy transmission farm on one corner, more Duke Energy stuff on another corner in a construction zone. So the community asked us to work with them for a mural, and they told us what they wanted, and they could imagine a mural and see the benefit. The community that we were putting the wall up on just couldn't wrap their brains around that change in the world that they were living in. And creative, we don't want to force art on anybody. We want to make it an experience that really adds to life and brings joy and maybe makes people happy and want to, Michael Francis from the Florida Orchestra tells this story of going to an orchestra as a little kid. He's kind of a working class guy and being totally transformed, and now he's a conductor. So, sometimes art changes people's lives. So our mission is to bring benefit to this community, and if a community is going to just feel that it isn't a reflection of them, then we said, okay, we understand, we hear you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Lucky us.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I
really do think so.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Smith.
I like this. I love arts and culture as a young person like he was. It touched me and made a difference in my life. I'd like to know how in the future we as a city can partner more with y'all to get these done, because I'd love anywhere. And getting people to come to Largo, see more of our city and see these murals and art, touches people. And some people's tastes in art are different than others, but I think just getting people there, they see something different, and then they experience our wonderful park that we have, or
Right.
Stop at a restaurant or a business, or a business catches on to it and they want to paint
Yes.
a mural.
Yes,
so how can we as a city partner with y'all more?
I'll make an appointment and we'll discuss it.
I would love that. So
Thank you so much for the invitation. We have slowly, I've been with Creative Pinellas for almost 5 years, and we have slowly but surely been building relationships. And each relationship we build, a new door opens, and we get to expand more and do more. I'm really moved by what you said, because I've watched Largo really go through some changes and make commitments to art and bring those kinds of experiences to the community. So I would personally, but also the organization Creative Pinellas, would love to do more together.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And before I'll entertain a motion, I'd like to invite you to see our latest art, which is the Heart of Largo. I'm not sure if you saw our new sculpture in Largo Central Park. It's Mr. Schwartz. It's at the corner of Central Park Drive and West Bay Drive. It's a really, really cool. I wish I had a picture. I'm not going to scroll through my phone. I'm sure there's one on there. But go take a look. It's great.
All right, thank you. I certainly will.
I'll entertain a motion if anybody's got a motion.
I move to approve the mural painting by Creative Pinellas as part of West Bay Drive Pinellas Trail Gateway Project.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next is item number 15.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Tracy Schofield. I'm the Community Standards Manager for the City of Largo. Item 15 is a Resolution 2274, which is establishing a new residential code lien waiver program. A few years ago, we did have multiple programs for new lien waiver programs and demolition programs for code liens. Those both expired. The city is presenting Resolution 2274 to incorporate both of these former programs to create one program as an alternative to the lien reduction program that's currently being used by the code enforcement boards and special magistrate. This program is intended to provide incentives for new owners to bring nuisance and vacant residential properties with code violations into compliance. This is an administrative program. It's a voluntary program. It's not something that's forced on any of the property owners. If they elect to apply for and participate in it, they can do that. This program would require them, obviously, to bring the property into compliance before we would consider waiving the liens and reducing the liens on the property and releasing those. As part of this condition, they would have to pay an administrative fee, and the community control officer for the community development division would be in charge of this program ultimately, but I'm sure that would be delegated down to my division to incorporate. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board or commission might have on this.
Resolution number 2274, a resolution of the City of Largo, Florida, establishing a residential code lien waiver program for new property owners, authorizing the Development Controls Officer to establish administrative procedures necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have none.
Any questions?
I move to approve Resolution number 2274.
Second.
I did have one quick question.
Yes, sir.
I know it's for new owners,
Yes, sir.
this program is, and I was curious, is there any requirement that they, what's the timeline? If somebody is a new owner, it's
They
an
have-
old lien, they find out.
They have 6 months
6
from
months.
either signing the contract or closing of the contract. They have 6 months to do
Okay,
that.
perfect, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next is item number 16.
Yes, sir, and I'll be here for that one too. This item is to authorize and allow the city manager to act on the city commission's behalf to approve and sign future foreclosure settlement agreements after city attorney review. In January of 2019, the commission approved the new foreclosure program that we use with a third-party attorney. As part of these foreclosure proceedings, many of them end in a settlement agreement and not a formal foreclosure of the properties. Currently, what happens is the commission would then hear these settlement offers at a commission meeting and approve that. The staff is requesting that the city manager have the authorization to sign for these agreements on your behalf. And again, I'm more than happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have none.
Any questions?
I move to authorize the city manager to approve and sign negotiated future foreclosure settlement agreements after the city attorney review without further review by the city commission.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next is item number 17.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Vice Mayor Robinson, newly minted Commissioner Gerard. How are you doing tonight? All right, number 17 is the approval of Phase 2, Phase 3 contract with ASD Sky for the design and construction management portion of the new City Hall building in the amount of $2,632,000. So the city has been working with ASD Sky for the past 11 months on Phase 1 of the new City Hall building and parking garage. Now that Phase 1 has been completed, the city needs to readjust and begin focusing on Phase 2 and Phase 3. Phase 2 is the design and schematics portion of the project, as well as the citizens' input part of the project. Since we are still working on acquiring properties to make the City Hall a reality, the designers will be focused on citizens' input, preliminary design and space allocation, as well as beginning to look at what we can utilize for systems furniture and also for our solar and other sustainable parts of the building. The contract amount for Phase 2 is $1,962,500 and will begin with notice to proceed upon approval of this project. Phase 3 contract amount will not be spent until the city provides notice to proceed at a future date. I'll be here to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Any questions? Commissioner Robinson.
Thank you. So I had a question. You kind of answered it when you're in your description there. We were talking about, I wanted to ask if those costs included sustainable options like solar. Are we going to look at, or can we discuss having also EV charging and, some of those other sustainable options that are,
Yeah, so as part of this project, we will have in the parking garage, we will push for EV charging stations, and that'll be something that we're going to look into. Also, we've already talked about the solar shading at the top on the roof area of the building. There will also be a lot of different ideas. Any ideas that any of the commissioners, mayor, vice mayor, that you guys have that you would like us to look into, we'd be more than happy to do that as part of our due diligence, as part of this project. The next commission memo or item will be talking about the construction manager at risk, and they will be heavily involved in those types of issues as well. But we are here to build the building for Largo for the next 50 to 100 years, and to be able to do everything we can to make it as sustainable as possible. So nothing is off the table right now. Sooner or later, some things will probably get off the table because it's going to be kind of expensive. We're talking, $50 million project here, but we are going to do everything we can to fulfill every requirement and every need for the residents of our city.
Yeah, so, I just want to make sure that what happened with the project at Environmental Services is not the same process that we go through here. I'm not saying that it will be, and I'm sure that it won't be, actually. So, I know that the intent of this commission is to continue to build our sustainability. I know that the staff is doing a lot on the back end right now with LEAP and a couple other programs that we're working on. So I'm familiar with those, and I'm very excited to see those when they're able to be brought to the commission. I just want to make sure that everybody's all on the same page, and that when we get to finally building the building, that if we got to cut somewhere, I'd rather have a solar panel on it than a nice leather chair for me later down the road. So, I don't know, I'm maybe not talking for everybody up here, but for me, you can put one more solar panel on.
One more solar panel, one less leather chair. Let me write that down.
Put that in
Thank
the
you.
notes.
Let's make that an action item.
Take off.
Yeah.
Action item, yes.
Thank you.
Is our sustainability coordinator on your team?
Yes, Laura has been on our team from the beginning. She helped us with both the design and I believe she was part of the construction manager at risk. She was really involved in the initial selection of ASD Sky as our architect on this, and we will spend quality time together making sure that we go through every single nook and cranny and make sure every I's dotted and T's crossed on this one. like I said, this is my one shot of making a building happen too. So, I mean, not very many people get a chance to build a city hall. I'm extremely excited but want to do all the right things for the city and make sure that all the costs are right and that we're not spending money just to spend money, but spending money that'll make it a better place for our residents and for our city people to work.
Can I follow up on that?
Sure, please.
Sorry. So when and I'm very happy, I knew Laura was involved, and I'm very happy that everybody is on the same page. It's not a concern of mine. I just want to make sure that my, the concerns are expressed. So what will the process be moving forward to assure that those types of issues are addressed? Not only with this building, but every single other thing, any type of vertical construction we do moving forward.
Yeah, so the LEAP document itself is relatively new for the city. Obviously, some of the things that happened with the ESOPS building, it wasn't not looked at, but sometimes the cost overruns and the cost of the project sometimes push it outside of what staff may feel is a reasonable standard. So I think what we need to do as staff is to not throw items out without doing the due diligence, bringing it back to the workshop and say, okay, you know what, we thought this was going to be $50 million. If we do all these things that we want to do, it's going to be $70 million or $60 million. And that may make people stand up and say, we can't do that. Okay, so if we can't do that, where are we going to pare it back? But that needs to be a discussion that we all have together as a group. It's the same thing. I can't make a decision for my department without getting the input of all of my managers. I'm not a dictator. And you guys aren't dictators. You guys are here to listen to what we have to say, and then we all walk down that road together and make those decisions that we need to make. So we are going to throw everything against the wall, and we are going to see what sticks. And if we think that, I don't know about this one, well, it's a question that needs to be asked. And we need to either discuss it at a workshop level, send it out to everybody like, hey, this is an issue that we have. Do you guys want to talk about it more, or do you just want us to make the decision on it?
So when we have, and I apologize for dragging this out, but so when we have, I know we're, again, working through LEAP some more. And I know, there's not, I guess LEAP, it is our environmental action policy or a plan, but my concern is sometimes, and I guess, the environmental service building would be an example of that. Sometimes if it's not written down somewhere and it doesn't say we have to do this, or if we can't do it, then at least it comes back to us or whoever needs to make that decision. What do we do, or do we need to have that written into an actual policy, not just a plan or not just a suggestion that says this is the policy or this is the process that we have to follow?
Yeah, and I think just coming off of Tropical Storm Eta, a lot of things that we did, we had it in our mind, but we didn't have it written down, and we kind of jumped from A to C and then kind of went back and picked up B, and it didn't really work right. So with this project, and what I would like to do is to really work with Laura and my Mark Myers and our other peoples in our facilities group and go through the plan, really dive into the plan and make sure that we know what check boxes we need to make. So at the beginning of our project, we don't have to guess where we're at or what we should be doing on it. We have the checklist and we can just go through it. That makes it easier for me. That makes my life a lot easier if I can just go, okay, where are we at with solar? Okay, solar is going to cost, 7 times the amount of the project. Probably not going to work. Okay, let's write up our scenario on solar. Let's move to the next thing. Where are we at on charging stations? Where are we at on, LED lighting? Where are we at on whatever, all the steps that are in the LEAP program? Then we don't have confusion. If we can take the guesswork out of it, It makes it a lot easier for us. So that is my pledge to you, is to say that as we continue to do, we're going to have a lot of construction coming up in the next 5 years, 10 years. We've got the City Hall building, we've got fire stations, we've got Bayhead, we've got Parks admin, we've got, cross your fingers, Public Works, 15 years out maybe. Sooner or later, 16, okay, great, I got that, I'll write that down. No leather chairs in 16 years, okay, got it. So we've got a lot of these things, and we can't stumble on each project and say that, well, we didn't know, or it's a new document or whatever. So if you document it, if you come up with an easier way to do it, then people aren't forgetting. And you got turnover, and you got people changing positions and this and that too. So we want to find an easy way to do it, but still make sure that we're doing everything we need to do.
Thank you. And I know, again, that staff is you guys are all doing a fantastic job. I really appreciate everything that we've, on this project in particular, where we are so far, and all the suggestions that you've taken from everybody. And I'm really looking forward to moving forward with it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Robinson. Commissioner Gerard.
Thank you.
Newbie.
First of all, thanks so much for the presentation. I know this is a project that everybody, is very focused on. I do want to start out by saying that when it comes to sustainability and resilience, it's always a question of pay me now or pay me later. And $1 spent today could save you 1,000 down the road. So it's not, so I understand dollars and cents always come into play, but you have to take the long view, especially when it comes to sustainability. On the solar, and this may be a little bit premature, but are we planning for 100% solar for the building or for just partial?
As of right now, it's partial. We do not believe, and I haven't gotten too far down the rabbit hole with ASC Sky about this, the designer, but I just do not feel that there will be an ability to get 100% solar on that building. It's going to be, 4 or 5 story building with the parking garage, with the retail, with, a lot of stuff going on in there. So the odds that we're going to be able to get 100% solar are slim to none. So, but that doesn't mean we're not going to try to, eke out every bit that we can get on that building. So
the efficiency on panels is growing and improving all the time. Are we looking at any kind of battery backup in case of power outages for the solar, or are we going to have a fuel burning generator for backup?
Yeah, there will probably be a fuel burning generator.
Not going to use the batteries at all? Right.
We haven't looked at batteries yet, but we are still in the preliminary design on it. So we will utilize that as part of our discussion as we move forward into more conceptual design.
Yeah. I'd love to see 100% on that building.
I would like to too, but
You can have my leather chair, all right?
All right, another leather chair. Okay, write that down. So, Commissioner Carroll, can I get your leather chair? No. No, okay.
Commissioner Smith.
Thanks, Matt. I liked your comment, and I'm going to stick it, is the part of I'm not spending money just to spend money. That's a big thing to me. It's going to come out to citizens, and they're going to have a lot of questions, and this is a big price tag. I want to make sure we're prepared for everything that they're going to come up and ask about. But I also want to make sure that we're getting out. I know they were talking about like virtual citizens input and stuff like that. Are we also going to do hybrids where citizens can come out and see what it is? Because there's some people that can't get onto virtual. I want to make sure everybody can get input into this project. Mm-hmm. Because if this is going to be Largo's big thing, I want to make sure everybody knows what we're doing and have a voice in the future of Largo in this thing.
Yeah, so citizen input is obviously in the world that we're in today is a little bit different than if we would have done this last year at this time. So first we're going to start with the virtual. We're going to start with probably some Facebook or some light, nibbling our toe in the water on this one. But ultimately, there will be opportunities for people to come out, whether they be small group sessions, drop-in time, something like that. Like maybe, we're at the library one Saturday all day, and people can just come and go as they kind of please. We're not really not going to really kind of nail down anything particular today because we haven't really had an opportunity to work through kind of the citizens input part with ASD Sky yet, but we will do whatever we can do, and I will pledge myself to do whatever I need to do to make sure that if a citizen needs to talk about, learn about, question what's going on, then we make that available.
Could we do like a Dropbox where if someone wanted to, let's say, drop off their phone number and contact information at City Hall because they couldn't, they saw it online or they saw a story in the paper, that your staff or you or someone can make contact with them and answer their questions?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do whatever we need to do to get this project right.
I just don't want 50 people guiding this
No.
project.
And I don't either. And obviously, there are going to be people that want to come out and be voice about it, and they want to give their ideas. And then there will be people that will come to the day after the ribbon cutting and say, why did you build that way? So they're going to have both of those, and we're going to be ready for all of it. So I have taken this project on as the project manager, and if I need to do something to make this project a success, that's what will get done.
I like that comment. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Carroll.
Yeah, I was, listening to you there, I was thinking of my days as a director when I sat before a different commission long ago and said, we were talking about money, and I said, well, do you want a system that works or one that doesn't work? And they said, which one's cheaper? So I think it's a different time now, and you might have detected some sensitivity here to the sustainability issues with this building. So
It's my theme for tonight.
it's our job to provide you with the resources as this goes forward. And I guess it's your job to provide us with the information that we can use to communicate to the citizens why we're doing what we're doing. So I think we all have a role in this, and when it's all said and done, there will be people at the ribbon cutting who have criticisms, and that's okay. But we're doing something for the long term. We have a lot of stated objectives, and our policies and our projects are all supposed to be going in one direction here. And it is clear to me that you understand the gravity of that, and it's clear to me that my counterparts on this commission do as well. So it's all going to be about information, having accurate information, not being afraid to bring us true costs on things, and this is what you've been doing all along. So please continue doing what you're doing. Arm us with the information to sell this project, not because we're in sales, but because we want to build a building that lasts for a long time and is sustainable. So thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pollock.
Thank you. Matt, I just want to expand a little bit on what Matt said, and thank you very much. We also have our new Sustainability and Resiliency Action Team, and that team, their first goal is to update the LEAP plan and write into the plan some of the things that you have requested, Commissioner Robinson. So in the future, the process is going to utilize the Sustainability and Resiliency Action Team as well as Laura Thomas. So what happened at the Ops building is something we can assure you will not happen in the future. So if you have any questions about the Sustainability and Resiliency Action Team, I can certainly answer those.
Thank you. Commissioner Holk.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to tag on to the information part, which has always been one of the things that I also feel very strongly about with Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Carroll. So if there's anything that we can do that you can think of, I was kind of thinking in my mind, okay, how can we really get this out here? So I was thinking about our drive-through Halloween that we just did in the parking lot at the library, and I know we have that huge LED screen So maybe a video of that and having people being able to, let's just kind of loop it all day, have people drive through, watch it, and have an area where they can drop cards with questions that, we can all get back to them. And even us, it's going to be hard for your department, obviously, to get back to everybody, but if we know about the questions that are being asked and we're informed, then, we can help talk to the citizens also. So, because it is a huge project, it is a lot of money, and there are going to be a lot of questions, small and large. So the more of us that can pass on the information, I feel the better, so that we don't have people showing up the day of the ribbon cutting and saying, oh, when did you guys build this, or why did you do this? So just asking you to definitely keep us in the loop. Let us help you get the word out there also.
Yeah, and I think thank you for that. One of the things that I think is very important in this project is obviously communications from myself to you guys as our elected officials. But also from you guys is what you're hearing out on, you guys hear the street gossip more than I do. I have my wife and my kids, and we do sports stuff, and if I don't see anybody, I don't see anybody, and I go to Publix, and I go home, and they don't know who I am. So sooner or later, that'll change, hopefully, and as we get out there and we're presenting more, people will become able to come up for a little bit, and then I'll have to switch Publix and go to some other one. So, but you guys, if you could continue giving us information as well. Obviously Gloria is great, and I've received emails from Mayor Brown through Gloria. If you have something and you can get it to Gloria, and she sends it right off to me, or you guys can contact me directly. It's just great that if I give you information and you don't understand it or something, we can sit down and in 2 minutes we can get it cleared up instead of stewing or whatever and waiting for a meeting or a workshop. So I'm always available to work with you guys on this project or any other project, and we are here together as one team to make this come to fruition. Because I think in 2024, when that building is up and looking nice, as we stand on top of the parking garage and watch the sunset, we will all be able to sit there and go, this is something beautiful that we did for the people of Largo, not for the employees, not for the commissioners. We did it for the people of Largo, and that's why we should be proud of it. And we will ultimately do that together as a group.
Well said. Thank you. Commissioner Gerard.
Right. And Mayor, you'll let me know if I'm ringing in too many times tonight, okay?
You're all right. Yeah. I will.
All right. I just want to take you back in history a little bit, Matt, when we built our new library here. And we had a library that we, just terribly outgrown, just couldn't sustain anymore. And the decision was made to build a new library. There was a lot of public input into that, and there were a lot of voices that didn't want a new library. And the word of the day was, we have the internet, nobody needs a library anymore. Fortunately, the City Commission fell in line behind building a new library and doing the library right. And that's the point I want to make. We built that library right, and we now have the #1 library, the top-rated library in the state of Florida. And it is used day in and day out. It is a place for people to come and congregate, to have meetings, to check out books, to use, because we built it correctly. And the word for the day is that cheap is expensive. You start cutting corners, all you do after that is regret and regret and regret. So I really do hope that as we move forward, that we build this building correctly, because as you said, it'll stand for 50 years. You even threw out maybe 100, which would be nice, but it's going to be here for a good long time. And so we need a building that works for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll tell you, the word on the street that I hear is excitement for this project.
Yeah.
Across the board, from everybody I talk to, they're excited to see the reinvestment in downtown. They're excited to see a new building. They're excited to see the mixed use. I have heard nothing but real positive comments, and also a sustainable building. I mean, there's a lot of people that have talked to me about the inefficiency of the way that this building here is, and a real desire to move forward from that. So, thank you. Unless there's any more questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve phase 2, 3 of, I'm sorry, I got distracted. I move to approve phase 2 and 3 of contract with ASD Sky for the design and construction management portion of the new City Hall building in the amount of $2,632,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next is item number 18.
Okay. We are here to talk to this one about the approval of a new contract with Biltmore Construction for contract construction manager at risk services for the new City Hall building in an amount not to exceed $303,000. So Biltmore Construction Corporation was the #1 ranked construction manager at risk following city staff putting a requisition for qualifications out on the streets. At the September 1st regular city commission meeting, staff requested and was given approval to negotiate with Biltmore. After great discussions with Biltmore and lots of learning on my part, through our contractor and our city attorney, Mr. Zemet, I'm here before you today to ask for approval for the pre-construction portion of the construction manager at risk contract. On September 1st, I thought that I could get a contract to you ready by Thanksgiving, and we got there, so I'm happy about that. The construction manager at risk will be assisting with the design process to make sure that the building is actually buildable, looking for ways to save money by using different products and means of construction, and creating our final guaranteed maximum price for the construction of the project. Be here to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards.
Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Vice Mayor Robinson.
So just to, again, continue with my theme for the evening, when we talk about the CMAR, just want to assure, can you please assure me that we will be, working with LEED or green build construction processes?
Yeah, so with the, if we actually go with a LEED or a green building, that is still kind of up in the air, because there are a lot of costs associated with that. To get a stamp or a plaque to put on the wall. That doesn't mean that we're not going to fulfill the same guidance that they would provide, but we may not go through all of the process to get it certified a certain way, just to spend money on certification.
Right. No, so I understand. I'm well aware that there's, there is a process and a cost involved in that process to get that quote unquote stamp. But, I think Commissioner Gerard stated earlier, sometimes you have to spend some money to save some money. So when we're in that process,
and yeah,
at least when we're going through it, at least have, though we have to assure, we have to make sure that we're working towards that process, that LEED, green build, whichever process we're going to look at or follow.
Yeah, so so let's say that it needs to be 98% efficient building. That may be the goal that we strive to attain as part of the project, and we may meet that 98% efficiency goal. That might not lead us down to platinum certification or gold level certification or whatever, because there are extra added steps involved in order to get, and payments involved in order to get those certifications. So we are going to strive to build at that level, but if at the end of the day we're not considered a platinum level LEED building, that might not mean what it doesn't say.
I understand I understand what you're saying. I just, like if we're talking about LEED platinum and I don't off the top of my head know what the levels of efficiency or whatever sustainability are for those different levels, but when we're working with CMAR and ASD Sky, or RC, or Biltmore Construction and ASD Sky, that those conversations are involved. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so we're going to work towards, whatever levels we want to be at, and that's what we're going to strive to attain. But at the end of the day, if we don't, it's bad to say, but if at the end of the day we don't have the plaque to show it, that doesn't mean we didn't do it. You know, that's the goal that we're going to utilize working with both Biltmore and ASD Sky.
Thank you. And
Totally understood.
I appreciate everybody hanging with me.
You gave up a leather chair.
That's right.
Do you know, I know Biltmore has done some projects for us in the past. Do you know what buildings or what Biltmore has done?
Biltmore is working on the ESOPS building right now. They did.
I'm looking around the room, and I know that most of the faces I see.
Community center. Yeah, I think it was community center.
Community center, and that's what I thought, which was the first LEED Platinum building, public building in the county. So Biltmore is very familiar with building to the LEED standard, and I'm happy that we have a platinum standard LEED certified building in our city. This is a big project, there's a lot of costs. I'm more concerned with us building to that level than I am with us getting certification. And I think that's what you're saying. And I know that, I expect that the team at Biltmore will understand that and will comply with LEED standards and make it as an efficient product as possible without having. I know that when we went through the community center, there were costs, ongoing costs that we incurred because there was somebody watching the processes, not just testing the efficiency at the end, but watching every step of the way, and that's very costly. So I would rather invest in the building than in somebody watching us build a building, so that we have a more efficient product at a better price at the end. As long as I'm comfortable that that's actually happening.
Yes, sir.
Because I'd hate, I know that as a commission, we've decided to not do some things on buildings, like the data center, for example, because it's not a public building. And we've made a commitment, especially for public buildings, but with the LEAF program, every building that we do, to have a sustainable product. So I'd like to make sure that happens moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, do you know what kind of dollars we're talking about for certification?
There was a percentage, and I honestly, I don't remember. The cost that you have to pay to the entity is one, but you have to have a separate individual that's kind of auditing along the way, and that was relatively costly. Honestly, I forget the numbers. I'm sure that we could look at the budget from the community center and see. But it was a big number. It was more than we spent on art, let's put it that way. And the art's still there.
Yeah.
But so is the plaque, I guess. Any other questions?
I move to approve a contract with Biltmore Construction Company for construction manager at risk services for the new City Hall building in an amount not to exceed $303,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Where's your good mask at?
Let me get my good mask out real quick.
Oh, darn.
By the way, Mayor, I'd be willing to kick in a little bit toward a plaque, even if it's not LEED. We can say something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta go. Lady Packers playing tonight.
Packers basketball playing, so
All right.
sorry for holding you up, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hope you win.
Next up is item number 19.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, this is approval of resolution number 2285, which amends legislative policy 5-1. Presently, that policy requires that the city commissioners be physically present in the commission chambers in order to vote on any item. As the commission is aware, when you adopted the resolution back in February, March, declaring an emergency, this is one of the provisions that was waived to allow for virtual meetings to occur. And we've continued to allow, on occasion, even after we started back with in-person meetings to allow some commissioners to appear remotely. So what we're proposing is to amend Legislative Policy 5.1, take out the requirement that a commissioner be physically present in the chambers in order to vote, and follow the Attorney General's opinions, which allows for members of the commission to appear remotely by communication media technology so long as there's a physical quorum present. Now, the resolution would require that the public would be able to see and hear any city commissioner or the mayor attending by technology at all times during the meeting, and that the elected officials attending by technology would be required to vote by roll call so as to assure that the city clerk can properly record their votes. With that, staff recommends approval of resolution number 2285.
Resolution number 2285, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Largo, Florida, amending the Largo City Commission's legislative policies by amending Legislative Policy 5-1 regarding rules and procedures for city commission meetings to allow for the attendance of the mayor and city commissioners at city commission meetings by communications media technology in certain circumstances and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this?
I have no public comment.
Any questions?
I move to approve resolution number 2285.
Second?
I have a motion. I did have a question. And forgive me for this, but what is the quorum? Are we required to have 4 or 5 people present?
Four.
So,
Majority.
so if, okay, so I'm trying to wrap my head around how this will work. If we've got 4 present and 7 total, 3 are virtual, and something happens with the media technology that's suspended, and we have a vote, and we're trying to vote. Can you tell me how we would navigate that? Because I might be the guy doing it.
So what would happen actually is either the meeting would have to be suspended or the commissioner whose technology was not allowing them to fully participate would not be able to vote on the item, and we would proceed without them.
Okay, and I don't see in this any provision for number of meetings required to be in person versus virtual. I personally feel like it's important to be here in person if you're able, and there's a relative amount of leeway in the wording here as far as reasons to not be in person. Certainly, if somebody is ill or unable to make it because of family illness or personal illness or global pandemic, I understand that, but I'd be in favor of seeing some type of attendance requirement in person or maximum or something like that. Do you know if you said this was from, where did this?
So generally this follows the Attorney General's advice as to when to allow. So I actually think, Mayor, it's kind of limited. You have to have either a personal health emergency, a family health emergency, there's a public health emergency like we're dealing with now, or some other emergency that makes it unsafe for you to physically attend the meeting. The Attorney General has generally said it's up to in each case it's up to each commission to decide what constitutes an emergency or an extraordinary situation to allow an elected official to appear remotely. And the only one that they've identified is a medical emergency. So I do think we made it pretty limited, but we certainly can add something that says a commissioner can only exercise the right to appear remotely, so many times in a year or so many times consecutively, whatever the pleasure of the commission is. These are your rules, so.
So how is this different from what we could do pre-COVID. I know that one of our commissioners was I think stuck out of town on a work trip that was unplanned and ended up, we authorized remote participation. How is this different than that?
Yeah, so if you recall, when we did that, the commission took a vote to waive its rules to allow the commissioner to attend that meeting by phone. This is more limited, really, than that. This somewhat formalizes the rule rather than requiring the commission to waive its rules each time. Basically, based upon our experience during the pandemic as to what works and the fact that we can make this work, and we can actually make it work in a way where we can see the commissioner who is remote, and the commissioner who is remote can see the rest of the commissioners. So it really kind of, in one sense, formalizes what the commission did to allow Commissioner Robinson to appear by phone that one time, but it's in a much more limited sense because he did not have a health emergency, and we certainly weren't in a pandemic at that time. So it's more limited.
Okay, I just, and then how would, you know, I'm sure that we're not looking for doctor's notes, if you will, to determine that somebody has a health emergency. If I'm not feeling well and I don't want to come here and get people sick, I would contact the city clerk or the city manager and say, you know, I'd like to attend today's meeting virtually. Perhaps I would have the vice mayor run the meeting because it'd probably be really clunky me trying to do this over Zoom with everybody else here in person. But I would be able to attend the meeting based on the fact that I'm ill without having commission approval ahead of time. Is that correct?
All right, well, the commission's going to approve it at the meeting. So you would relay to the city clerk that you're ill, and while you're able to, you know, participate in the meeting, you're not able to attend the meeting because you're contagious or whatever, and then the commission at the meeting will approve your attendance remotely. So it'll be up to you all to decide if somebody's abusing it or if they truly are there's a health emergency or a pandemic or whatever it may be that prevents them from coming to the meeting.
Okay, fair enough. I'm still a little bit unclear on how it's different than what we have done in the past. Is it because we can have up to 3? Is it just to codify kind of this policy?
It's really the latter. We're codifying what you did the one time when Commissioner Robinson was out of town, and rather than having to waive the rules each time.
Yeah, and if I may, Mayor, there's a kind of I'm thinking of a different commission that had a member of the commission who had a very serious illness where they were incapable of attending meetings for an extended period of time. And short of resigning their commission seat and all the things that apply about filling a vacant seat that's, you know, close to an election or whatever, it allowed that person to participate. And so I think, in addition to what you're saying, there's also a plus side to this thing.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to this. I'm just not sure. And now I think I am, how it's different than what we've done.
Would all votes have to be by roll call when this is happening? I thought I saw somewhere where
That's
votes
correct.
will have to be roll call.
Yeah, and which is, actually, that's not necessarily how we've done it when we've had virtual folks.
Right. There was a lot of people just, aye.
Yeah, listen for the 5th eye or 6th eye.
But now they'd have to be roll call.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Commissioner Hall.
my concern would be the fact that you have to have 4 people here physically. So if for some reason it only ended up being 3 and 2 others had already made arrangements for virtual, then you're just having a meeting, but you're not voting on anything. So if we were to have, where you had to have 5 physically, so that if 1 physically couldn't make it, because all it would take would be 1 person to not be able to make it physically to a meeting to not have the 4-person quorum. So that's where my head is thinking, oh, you know what I mean, only one person would not be here, and then 3 people would still be on the phone or on Zoom, but the meeting would not accomplish anything because you didn't have your physical quorum. So,
Right, Commissioner, if 4 elected officials didn't show up for the meeting physically, you couldn't proceed with the meeting under this rule. So you have to have 4 people present. You wouldn't have a quorum. You wouldn't have a quorum under state statute. You have to have 4 to have a quorum physically present.
And
Unless the governor would ever
that's regardless of
that
this
requirement.
right, no, I understand that. I'm just saying by leaving it at 4 here and 3 Zoom.
You could certainly reduce the 3 to 2.
Yeah, okay.
If that's what you want to do, just play it safe.
Like our COC meeting the other day was like just a meeting, because we didn't have physical quorum on a board that has 27 people. We
Right.
couldn't get half of the people there, so.
I will tell you that's never happened since I've been.
No, I know it probably hasn't, but I'm just saying, allowing 3 on Zoom and 4 here, if one is not here.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't show up last minute.
Right,
Then we're out of luck.
you know,
But
unforeseen, and like you said, I mean, it's probably never happened, and the chances of it happening, so the meeting gets postponed, but.
does anybody, I mean, I didn't, there is a motion and a second on the floor, so if anybody wants to change their motion or second, we can entertain that, but otherwise, we're going to go ahead and vote on the motion as it is. All right. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Zimmett. Next is item number 20.
This is my item as well. This is a request to approve engagement agreement with the law firm of Manson, Bowles, Donaldson, Barn to defend the city in the matter of Tampa Bay waterkeepers versus City of Largo. This is a lawsuit brought by 3 environmental groups that claim that the city has been in violation or has violated the Clean Water Act with regard to the operation of the wastewater treatment plant and the city's sanitary sewer collection system. We have been in discussions with them to try to resolve this litigation, and the law firm of Manson Bowles has been assisting me pursuant to my contract. I brought them in as a sub-consultant, but we're getting at the point where the city commission needs to approve it as opposed to the city manager. In addition, if the lawsuit were to proceed and we're not able to resolve this matter amicably, then the expectation would be that the law firm of Manson Bowles would be the primary attorneys. They are really experts in this field of environmental litigation and environmental law. They have lawyers who work for DEP and SwiftMud and other environmental agencies and state and federal government. And this is pretty much most of what they do. And so we would recommend that Commission approve the engagement agreement with Manson Bowles. They did agree to the same hourly rates that that my law firm has with the city, discounted rates. So we would recommend approval.
Thank you. Do we have any cards on this?
Have no cards.
Any questions? I have a couple. I've never heard of Tampa Bay Waterkeepers. I've heard of Tampa Bay Estuary Program, Tampa Bay Watch, Sierra Club, the Surf Rider Foundation, other entities that are doing stuff to help protect the waters in and around Tampa Bay. What does Tampa Bay Waterkeepers do other than this?
Well, Tampa Bay Waterkeepers, as well as one of the other organizations that is a plaintiff in the case, Suncoast Waterkeepers, was started by a lawyer in the Sarasota area, and they advocate for environmental causes. They file litigation against governmental agencies that they think are violating the Clean Water Act. And as far as I know, that's generally what they do.
So,
We are certainly, but, I'm sorry, we are not the only ones that have had a lawsuit filed against them by this organization. St. Petersburg, Sarasota, Gulfport, number of agencies whose sanitary sewer systems and treatment plants were in much worse shape than ours. But that's what I understand they do, Mayor.
So what are they looking for with this lawsuit? Are they looking for to extract revenue from the city of Largo, or are they looking to hold us to some type of standard that's above and beyond our consent agreement with the DEP? Combination thereof?
Combination thereof. They're looking for a commitment to meet our NPDES permit, oversight of our work program, some additional work that they're looking for us to agree to do that we may otherwise not have to do to comply with our consent order or our permit. And they are at this stage still looking for some contribution towards towards the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, a project that they have. I don't want to say it's necessarily in the works, but a project that they've looked at before, and that would. Jerry Wilmaniski probably can describe this better than I can, but in layman's terms, addressing nitrogen levels in the old Tampa Bay.
Okay. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve retaining the Manson Bowles Donaldson Varn Law Firm to defend the city in the matter of Tampa Bay Waterkeepers et al. Versus City of Largo, and authorize the city manager to execute the engagement agreement with Manson Bowles.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is item number 21.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commission, and welcome, Commissioner Gerard. The next 23 ordinances are a first reading for the annexation of 25 properties. The total taxable value for this group is a little over $4.56 million and will add an additional 10.72 acres to the municipal boundary. The land use of these properties are residential low medium, residential rural, industrial limited, and commercial general. Incentives that were provided to the property owners through annexation agreements include in-city sanitary sewer rates, in-city recreation parks and arts rates, trash and recycling pickup service, and one property did have the incentive of the ability to use Pinellas County design standards in their site plan if they choose. All requirements as specified in Chapter 171 of the state statutes have been met, except for the advertisements, which will be published before the public hearings, specifically on November 25th and December 2nd. All 25 properties are contiguous to the city's municipal boundaries through previous annexations and together help to reduce the size of existing enclaves. The ordinance proposes to annex property that is compact as that term is defined in Chapter 171. Therefore, it is staff's opinion that all of the properties may be annexed voluntarily in accordance with Chapter 171. Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners and Pinellas County Planning have been noticed and to date have not provided any objections. All city departments reviewed these annexations and indicated services can be provided. Staff is available for any questions.
First ordinance, ordinance number 2021-02, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1837 South Lake Avenue, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any public input, any cards on any of these?
Just check Zoom real quick. No, we do not.
And Mr. Zimmett, Commissioner Fenger had to step out for a minute. Do we need to wait for her to return in order to vote?
Here she comes.
No.
Okay. We might be okay either way. We're okay.
You have a quorum. That's all you need.
That's what I thought.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-02 on first reading and schedule second reading public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-03, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1835 Chateau Drive West, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-03 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-04, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1664 Palace Drive, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-04 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-05, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1607 Leisure Drive, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-05 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-06, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1618 Leisure Drive, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 21-12 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15, 2020.
Second.
Did you read the right number?
No.
Yeah, you didn't read
Oh, maybe I did not. I'm sorry.
2012.
Whoops.
6.
2021.
2021.
21, yeah.
So was that, what you meant to say was ordinance number 2021-06?
That's correct.
And did I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-07, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1637 Fortune Drive, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-07 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-08, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 980 Porter Drive, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-08 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-09, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 126 Emerald Lane, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-09 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-10, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1132 Gershwin Drive, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-10 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-11, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1054 Gershwin Drive, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-11 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-12, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 2964 Roberta Street, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I've caught up with myself here. I move to approve ordinance number 2021-12 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15, 2020.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-13, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 14884 Revere Road, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-13 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-14, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 7125 Darien Way, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-14 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-15, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 15432 Bedford Circle East, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-15 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15, 2020.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-16, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tracts of land located at 1629 and 1643 Palm Way, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the city of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low-medium, redefining the corporate boundary of the city of Largo to include said additions according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-16 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-17, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1671 Palm Way, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low-medium, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-17 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-18, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 2390 Kent Place, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential rural, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-18 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-19, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 1819 Juanita Court, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-19 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-20, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 7887 Powderhorn Circle, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of residential low, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-20 on first reading and schedule second reading public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-21, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 2233 Sherrill Road, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of industrial limited, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-21 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15, 2020.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Smith?
Isabel, I just have a question. On the next ones down, which one was it that asked for the county rules to apply that their future buildings?
It'll be the last one, ordinance 2021-30.
Okay, I'll have a question to that when we get to that. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-22, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located east of Lake Avenue Southeast and north of Almerton Road on the east side of Sherrill Road, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of industrial limited, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-22 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-23, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tracts of land located at 2340 Sherrill Road and 2345 Southwind Lane, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the city of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of industrial limited, redefining the corporate boundary of the city of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-23 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance number 2021-30, an ordinance of the City of Largo, Florida, annexing the within described tract of land located at 15064 U.S. Highway 19 North, Pinellas County, Florida, and contiguous to the existing city limits of the City of Largo, Florida, with city land use designation of commercial general, redefining the corporate boundary of the City of Largo to include said addition according to the provisions of Chapter 171 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to approve ordinance number 2021-30 on first reading and schedule a second reading and public hearing on December 15th, 2020.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. There was a couple questions concerning.
What are they looking for the county that's outside of our development codes?
So that site is actually going to be redeveloped into a Mazda dealership. They already had their plans set with the county, and then they realized it'd be more beneficial for them to develop in the city. And so because most of their site plan already had those Pinellas County development standards, we went ahead and put that in their agreement. So they wouldn't have to change a lot of that.
So it will kind of coexist a little bit. You're okay. I mean, if it's here, you're okay with it. I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I did have a question on the previous ordinance on 2021-23. If you look at that picture on that one, it's the top picture with the horse trailer and I mean, some of that stuff is not going to be, wouldn't fit under our current code. I'm sure it might be okay in the county, but having some of that stuff parked in the yard like that, would we have that discussion with those folks prior to?
So it does get grandfathered in. I have asked him to clean it up or at least put in a fence around it to make it more appealing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second on ordinance 2021-30. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Diane.
Yeah, thank you, Diane.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I will now recess the city commission meeting and convene a CRA meeting for 3 items.
I thought he said 3 hours. 3 items.
I'll be right here.
Good evening, Honorable City Commissioners. The purpose of this item is to present the First Amendment to the residential lease agreement for the residential property owned by the Community Redevelopment Agency at 166 5th Street Northwest. On April 21st, 2020, the Community Redevelopment Agency approved the purchase and sale agreement for the property, and the property closed on May 12th, 2020. This property was purchased to complete the northwest corner of a half block owned by the redevelopment agency. At the time of purchase, there was an active lease for a residential tenant that is set to terminate on December 31st, 2020. And when the redevelopment agency purchased the property, it assumed the lease and became the landlord. The tenant has requested to extend the lease agreement. The tenant currently pays $700 per month on the existing lease. Staff requested the city attorney prepare a First Amendment to the lease agreement for consideration by this board. The lease agreement is for a period of 2 years with an option to renew every 2 years. The proposed lease agreement has an escalation clause with a 2% increase in rent each year, and this is to help recover the costs of the yearly property taxes. The terms allow the party to have the option to terminate the lease with or without cause upon 30 days written notice to the other party, and upon expiration of the time period, the lease agreement would be deemed terminated and all obligation under the lease would cease. The tenant would be responsible for all of the rent up to and through the date of the termination. Should the redevelopment agency approve the First Amendment to the lease agreement, the lease term will begin on January 1st, 2021, and will end on December 31st, 2022, unless terminated by either party. And the new rent will be $714 per month during 2021, with an increase 2% every year the lease is in effect. Staff is prepared to answer questions at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Any questions from the commission?
I move to approve the First Amendment to the lease agreement for 166 Fifth Street Northwest.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. For the next item, I'm going to step down from my position and pass the gavel hypothetically to our new vice mayor, because I own property directly across a small street from the property in question. So, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Can I hold the gavel?
Yeah, please. I just put sanitizer on my hands, so you're good.
Yes, thank you. The purpose of this item is to request approval of the Housing Infill Program Grant Incentive Agreement with Flagship Holdings, LLC, for the Skyview Townhomes project. On July 21st, 2020, the Community Redevelopment Agency was presented with recommendations made by the Community Redevelopment Agency Advisory Board, also known as the CRAB, on incentive request package for a Housing Infill Program grant for the applicant Flagship Holdings, LLC, on behalf of their project, the Skyview Townhomes, located in the West Bay Drive Community Redevelopment District. The new townhomes project is located at 608, 620, 622 First Avenue Southwest in downtown Largo, off Ridge Road and First Avenue Southwest. The development consists of 16 fee-simple townhomes split among 4 buildings. At the July 21st meeting, the Community Redevelopment Agency voted to approve the Housing Infill Program grant incentive in the amount of $160,000, that comes out to $10,000 per townhome, for the development of the Skyview Townhomes, and authorize staff to enter into negotiations for agreement. The agreement has been prepared for the approval of the agency board, or by the agency board. The Housing Infill Program grant funds in the amount of $160,000 are programmed in the current fiscal year 2021 budget. Should the redevelopment agency approve the agreement, the grant for each townhome will be paid out in 4 increments during the construction milestones. That would be a building permit during the construction, including inspection milestones and a certificate, and the milestone for the certificate of occupancy, and the disbursement would be at those milestones. The project is currently under site plan review and in the second round of site plan review comments from staff. And the rental home on the property is now vacant and ready for demolition when approved to proceed with building permits. Their bid plan has already been set for meetings for the buildings, and all the financing is in place for the project, with both self-financing and traditional financing. And Mr. Eric Meyer is in the audience. He's here representing the company, and he's here to answer any questions, should the commissioners have any. And staff is prepared to answer questions at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
I have no public comment.
Questions? Commission? Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the Housing Infill Program Grant Incentive Program Agreement with Flagship Holdings, LLC, for the Skyview Townhomes project.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Looking forward to this project.
It's gorgeous.
And I'll hand the gavel back.
Thank you. Good job. Next up, item number 24.
Thank you very much. The next item is regarding the property at 511 Cleveland. On September 15th, 2020, the Community Redevelopment Agency approved the preferred ranking for the proposals submitted in response to the request for proposal for construction of a new single-family home at 511 Cleveland Avenue Southwest. During that meeting, the Community Redevelopment Agency provided approval for staff to enter into negotiations with the top-ranking proposal submitted by Mr. Thomas V. Varvaro, Inc. The proposal by Thomas Varvaro, Inc., was an offer to the CRA in the amount of $30,000 for purchase of the residential lot, and an offer to construct a 2-story home with neo-traditional design elements with a functional front porch, a pitched roof, and rear access parking to meet the city home designation requirements of the West Bay Drive Community Redevelopment District Plan. And the proposal amount of $30,000 was the top offer in terms of purchase price, and the proposal met the requirements of the RFP. An as-is residential contract for sale and purchase of the lot has been signed by the buyer, and for the terms of the agreement, the redevelopment agency required the following: 10% down at signature from the buyer, and the remainder of the amount would be due at closing. The buyer would cover the costs of closing. The property will be sold as is, and there will be an agreement for option and rights to repurchase the real property as part of the contract. The agreement requires submission of a site plan for the property no later than 6 months from closing of the property, and a building permit for the single-family home will be required no later than a year from closing. The construction of the house must be completed with a certificate of occupancy within a year of the permit. And if the buyer fails to meet this requirement, the redevelopment agency will buy the site back from the owner at the cost it was sold to them. Should the board approve the contract, the proceeds from the sale of the lot will go back to the tax increment fund for the West Bay Drive Community Redevelopment District. One item to note in the report does say that the closing date would be on the 20th of November. However, we received the closing documents today, so that closing date will be tentatively scheduled for after the Thanksgiving holiday for December 1st. And staff is available to answer questions at this time. And the buyer, Mr. Barbaro, is also here available to answer questions about the property.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on
I
this?
have no public comment.
Any questions for staff or Mr. Bavaro?
I have.
Commissioner Gerard?
It says here in the summary here that if the buyer fails to meet the requirement, the CRA will buy the site back. Actually, the CRA will have an option to buy the site back, right? It won't be required to buy it back. There'll be an option, and there could be a negotiation to correct, right? To cure any.
That is correct. There is an option to repurchase.
Okay, so it's not a shall or a will, but an option. Okay, thank you.
If the grantor chooses to exercise its rights.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I move to approve the as-is residential contract for the sale and purchase of 511 Cleveland Avenue Southwest.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excited for both projects. The CRA agency meeting is adjourned and will reconvene as a city commission. Mr. Zimmett, do you have anything? I guess not. I was going to ask him a question, too.
So I'm here. I forgot to unmute. Sorry, Mayor. I have nothing tonight, but you can ask your question.
I will ask my question. The housing infill program grant agreement that was just authorized, and I abstained from voting. I have the signature sheet for me to sign. Should I just ask our vice mayor to sign this? Or can I sign it?
No, you can, either way, it doesn't matter. You don't have a conflict in signing the agreement. You're signing it on behalf of the commission as they approve the agreement.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks, Alan. I was going to get a couple extra bucks.
I'm gonna have you sign it. He said either way. Vice Mayor Robinson.
I would like to say thank you to the mayor and commission for allowing me to serve as the vice mayor for the upcoming year. It's a privilege for me to be able to do that, so thank you very much. And I would also like to thank all of the residents of Largo for the outstanding vote in electing myself and the mayor. It was unanimous. And I absolutely look forward to the next 4 years for what the city of Largo can do. We've done a fantastic job over the last 8 years that I've been a part of what we're doing, and I can't think of another or better way to spend the next 4 years. And Commissioner Gerard, Eric, welcome. I really look forward to working with you, not for you, but with you for the next 4 years. It's going to be a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Holt.
Yes, first, thank you for allowing me to be vice mayor for a year. It was enjoyable. I got to do one meeting and the other half of Jamie's, of Vice Mayor Robinson's today. But welcome, Commissioner Gerard, and I look forward to working with you. Congratulations to Commissioner Robinson and Mayor Brown. Definitely looking forward to working with you all still, and I just wanted to wish everybody a happy, healthy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carroll.
Congratulations, Commissioner Gerard. And also to the vice mayor. It's important that we have a diversity of opinion up here, so Jamie, thank you for that. And the mayor, congratulations to you too. I have nothing else tonight.
Commissioner Smith.
I would also like to welcome Commissioner Gerard to the board and congratulate the mayor and vice mayor on their re-elections. We have many great things coming forward, and I look forward to working with you all to continue that and moving Largo forward. Also, I'd like to wish everybody a safe Thanksgiving. Please remember social distancing, and please follow the CDC guidelines as responsible, because we're all in this together and we need to take care of each other. So if you can, please be safe and respect other people's viewpoints and have a safe and good Thanksgiving. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Finger.
Thank you. Congratulations to everyone that's been reelected, Mayor Brown, Vice Mayor Robinson, and congratulations to our newest Commissioner Gerard. So I think it's an exciting time and look forward to working with you all moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gerard.
Thank you, Mayor, and congratulations, Mayor. Congratulations, Commissioner Robinson. It's an honor and a privilege to serve on this board. I have a few comments. I should be done by 9 o'clock, I think, so.
I will cut you off.
But it is an honor and privilege. I think that Largo is an outstanding city. I think we are actually a leader in so many things in Tampa Bay that I'm so proud of. And we have an outstanding staff and an outstanding commission. I do want to say a couple of things here, and I promise I'll be short. I want to thank everyone for voting. That's the first thing. Every vote counts. Your vote counts. It's fundamental and it's unchangeable truth. Your vote counts. Next and most importantly, I want to thank my family, specifically my wife, Pat, our daughter, Sarah, and my son-in-law, Patrick. Your support throughout this process means more to me than I'll ever be able to express. Pat, who's been an elected official both in Largo and county-wide since 2000, frequently looked at me throughout this election and this campaign and said, "Now you know." So she's very sage about that. Her wisdom is immeasurable, and I love you so much, Pat. And I had something else I wanted to say, but I won't bore everyone with it. So thank you so much. I really do look forward to the next 4 years working with such a fine and excellent team. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say congratulations to our new commissioner. Commissioner Gerard, welcome. And congratulations as well to the Vice Mayor, Commissioner Robinson, on being reelected. And thank you to the residents of Largo for your support. I'm so excited for the next 4 years. I think we really have a real great team, both on the staff side and administration side, and as well as up here. We don't agree on everything, but we have a similar vision for the future of Largo, and I think we're doing great things and really leading the way in the whole region on many things. So I'm excited for the next 4 years. And that's all I had. Assistant City Manager Pollock.
I'd just like to echo what everyone else has said. Have a safe and healthy Thanksgiving, and welcome Commissioner Gerard. Staff is really looking forward to working with you, and congratulations, Vice Mayor Robinson and Mayor Brown. We are looking forward to continue working with you. So everybody, please stay safe out there and follow the mask requirements, and hopefully when we see you in a couple weeks, nobody has corona. Thanks.
Thank you. Action items aside from getting rid of a bunch of leather chairs.
I only had one, a request by Commissioner Smith that staff keep the City Commission apprised of the progress of the Grand Oak Apartments project.
Sounds great. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great evening.
Thank you.